The following is not meant for children, has been edited by Cute Stuff, and is brought to you by support from Patreon. Hello, and welcome back. I am MaesterAelix, and this is MaesterAelix's Build Love Time, or better known as MaesterAelix's BLT. The videos in this series are where I go over character builds for some of my favorite RPGs. In this video, I plan to show you, step by step, how to make a character build that I really enjoy, and explain how I enjoy it, and hopefully you will too. Now, I like to make fun and flavorful character builds, something that leans more into ROLE play instead of ROLL play. However, it never hurts to give yourself some numerical advantages from time to time. You know, that's a treat. Now, my way is far from the only way to build characters. This is just one character built in a way I think is fun, and hopefully I've done a good enough job that you'd want to play this character too. However, feel free to change things to make the character you do want to play. As I go through this build, I'm going to go into detail into what I've selected and why I've selected the things I do, but what I won't be doing is reading the books to you. And second, doing that removes your need to get your own books. I love these games, so I'd love for you to support the publishers, so please, go buy their books. Now let's fry up some bacon and slice some tomatoes and get ourselves this BLT. Today's BLT is actually something new for the series, and that is Homebrew. As someone who has plunged their hands into the mechanics and some of the game systems, there's sometimes I feel the need to make or modify something in the system for myself. And today I'm sharing one of those with you. Today is a homebrew for the Power Rangers RPG by Renegade Games. That is to turn your Power Rangers game into a Kamen Rider game. For those of you that don't know, Kamen Rider is similar to Power Rangers. They're both in the same genre of tokusatsu shows. However, Kamen Rider usually focuses in on a single primary writer, but often there's a secondary writer, and sometimes more, depending on the specific series. Also, there are usually no giant mechas. I said usually. This is less of a specific character and a bit of tech and some small edits to the things that already exist to turn a Power Rangers game into a Kamen Rider game. So let's begin! So, let's get into the layers of this BLT, shall we? The books you'll need, at a minimum, to get from Renegade Games to make the homebrew as I've made it here are the Power Rangers Core Rulebook and the Field Guide to Action and Adventure. Just a note, the character sheet that you see on screen has been made by my friend Leatherhead, and there will be a link for it down below in the description. So to begin with, there's a few things that need to be addressed. As stated earlier, Power Rangers and Kamen Rider are very similar. However, there are differences. So, the first and smallest and easiest to fix are to simply swap a few names and phrases around. The easiest simply be swapping Power Ranger with Kamen Rider, or Ranger with Rider. Boom! Easy. Done. On that same level of easy, for Power Rangers, their main perk is called Morphin Time. For Kamen Riders, this simply renames to Henshin. Mechanically, works the same. Boom. Easy. Done again. Also, depending on your Kamen Rider setting, you'll want to rename the phrase Zord Features to something that fits your setting or campaign. These could be anything. Capsums, Chemi-cards, metal, progress keys, whatever your setting likes best. Now the second far larger thing that needs to be addressed is powers, forms, and Zords. Now in Power Rangers, outside of battleizers and a few things like that, within any given series, there's not a whole lot of shifting or changing of powers, at least compared to Kamen Rider. They do have Zords where, as mentioned earlier, Kamen Rider typically does not. To address this, there's a fantastic perk in the Field Guide to Action Adventure called Zord Ultra Mode. This is intended for Power Rangers and Transformers crossover. However, With small modifications to this perk, it can act as a main source of Kamen Rider powers and suit upgrades. Now, the fluff and flavor of this reskin will be up to your particular campaign, as Kamen Riders have classically had different forms of power activation. Sometimes mythical, sometimes technological, sometimes biological. However you flavor it, the mechanics I use are based off of Zord Ultra Mode. The idea behind Zord Ultra Mode is for a Transformer to be their own Power Ranger Zord, which is amazing. So all you really have to do is take out the parts that require you to be a Transformer. Remove the prerequisite of needing an alt mode and a size class of at least large. Also, the paragraph talking about converting between your bot mode and alt mode can be ignored. As a GM for a Kamen Rider game, I suggest giving this perk out to every player at level 1 at the same time as they get their Henshin perk, just in case any player has Zord features at level 1. Now, what this does not only allows the characters a chance to power up with new features and abilities, but those who want something where the powers can be swapped around, like in O's or 0-1, this lets you. I've put a version of this reskin Ultra Mode called Power Up down below in the description as well. The third thing is, as mentioned in the Power Up write-up, is Automatic Zord Features. Now, this is totally up to your GM and setting. However, as someone that's tested this homebrew out, I'm going to recommend the following two features as the automatic ones: Heavy Chassis and Martial Zord. These two features, for me, feel the most common traits for a Kamen Rider to have. Extra strength, extra health, and a focus on melee attacks. Now, as stated, for any campaign you run as a GM, these are up to you, but I suggest these two. And the last thing. As a GM and a player, you'll want to make sure that any Zord features you do pick up are the ones that will work within your setting and system. Does your Kamen Rider group not combine powers? Then don't take things that require a megaform or combining. If you don't want your players to be Ultraman or huge enormous things, don't let them take the features that make them become larger. Take your time and curate the list of features. Cutting out a few for setting and flavor reasons still leaves a lot on the table, and this only gets better if you bring in options from other books. Hey, you've made it this far into the video. Thank you for that. Seems like you're liking the video, so please show that you do by hitting the thumbs up button down below. Maybe leave a comment, tell me what you're enjoying. Now that all of that has been established, let's get into actual leveling. As far as I can tell, there's no reason to exclude any of the basic color spectrums as a role. As for the ones in other books beyond the core rulebook, that's up to your GM, but these are all solid choices. From the other books, roles such as Shadow Ranger or Psycho Rangers can make for great villains. Not the first time a bad guy have their Henshin sound be Terror. Most Power Ranger characters get their first Zord features at level 3, however there are some ways you can get them as early as level 1. If you want to let your characters do that, that's up to you and your game balance. But I recommend waiting for level 3. An example of a character that gets them at level 1 instead of level 3 is something like Agito, where there's a base form that he almost never uses, but then powers up almost immediately. That's a player that's got a level 1 Zord feature. Where others would have gotten theirs at level 3 would be the end of the first arc power-up. The levels where you get more Zord features and grid powers are big, important levels. For those of you that know Kamen Rider and its common tropes, those levels would be great for end-of-arc power-ups. They're just very cool. One other thing to consider is grid powers. For those of you who have a setting like O's or Gotchard where the power-ups can be traded amongst people or even villains, grid powers are another excellent idea to make swappable. Just make sure you don't leave your players without something for too long. A temporary loss of power can add challenge, but deny them for too long, and it's just mean and unfair. And with all of that being said, here's where I'm going to say thank you all for joining me. Please remember to like, comment, and of course subscribe. It's a little click for you, but a really big deal for me, and I greatly appreciate everyone who does. If you have enjoyed this video, check out the links down below for links to my editor, my merch market, and of course my Patreon campaign where you can get a variety of rewards including early access to all my videos, along with the custom character sheet and a write-up for the perk that I was talking about in the video. Thank you all for joining me, and I shall see you all on the next one. This is a special shout out to all my wonderful supporters over on Patreon. Aaron Smith, Dennis Detman, Drew Betts, Harry Thompson, Mark Milius, and Takashi Yamato. Thank you all so much. These videos wouldn't exist without you.